So selecting a retreat centre. So first of all, getting clarity on your intention or your purpose, what you want out of the retreat will obviously help guide that. For example, if you decide that your real intention is just to really retreat inwards and just see what comes up, and that's just purely your intention for that that time you're in retreat, then you want to select a centre that offers solo cabins, for example. I stayed at a centre. One of the ones I stayed at in Tamashakal was just it's just beautiful. I made beautiful cabins, nice double bed with hammock in the cabin, and then I had a mattress so I could just lie on the ground as a day bed. Beautiful wooden floors and mosquito nets all around and things like this, and overlooking the sort of little pond down the bottom and in the jungle and things. And they would all the meals were delivered to the room. So basically, the housekeeper would come in and just drop the food off and come back and swap things around a bit later. And so I'd have a sort of a holla with her, a brief conversation. That was it. And we were. I mean, all of us were there, had our own solo accommodation. We're all there for the same thing, so we could interact with each other during the day if we wanted to, but it was encouraged that we didn't do that. So yeah, and there was, so basically, apart from the ayahuasca ceremonies, and if we wanted to have a meeting with a shaman or chat with the shaman, then we really didn't have any interaction with anyone. If I was there, I was on that retreat for 6 weeks. It'll be 8 weeks, I think. And again, no electronics and things like that. So it was, it was. Well, I did cheat on the electronics a little bit, I've got to say. But So I digress. Sorry. So basically, the way that that's what I wanted. So that was the sort of place I wanted to go to. So this next retreat I went on, the last retreat on, that wasn't so important to me. I was going there for a different purpose. So I chose the shared accommodation option. It was a cheaper option, and and it worked well for me. So so this is the importance of getting clear on our purpose first, and using that as a bit of a guide, when we're going to select somewhere. Then there's obviously the obvious stuff like I've only experienced ceremonies and retreats in Peru and Bolivia, so but so I'm not going to talk about particular countries or things like that, but necessarily, but there are differences, but there's the obvious stuff that goes with travelling to any country, just the ease of getting there and those sorts of considerations. The cost at the moment is obviously a consideration, and at the moment, because of the times that we're in, I've seen a number of centres seem to be offering special deals. So, I got attracted to the centre in Bolivia because they were offering a very good deal. In fact, they're still offering it $1,500 US for a month. That's for all accommodation, all food, all ceremonies, everything, and jumping between the two locations. So that's what attracted me. So that's obviously a consideration for some people. Another big consideration really is how much hand-holding do you want or think you need, because we're all at different stages, and we all have different fears and different things like this and different concerns. So some people have very few and they just jump in, but for example, if people have turned up at retreat centres that I've been at, and they've been looking more for the retreat centre that offers they have the on-site psychotherapist, they have a dietitian, they have all these different things like this, and that's where they probably would have been better off, because the place I was at was not offering that. So with their style was more, well, this is your journey, you take responsibility for it and get on, and we're not off, and there was obviously some obviously they were there to help, but it's basically you need to take responsibility for it. So But that's what she wanted, you know, and really, in reality, she should have, you know, gone to there are other retreats that offer that, centres that offer that. So it's another, you know, a really, really important consideration. You know, and the other things are obvious things, you know, in terms of doing the research. You know, there's lots of the TripAdvisor, there's Retreat Guru, there's lots of Facebook, ayahuasca Facebook groups and things like this that are available, you know, that's obviously a very good way to do your research. I will add a word of caution though. I mean, you know, the plant medicine retreat business, if you want to put it that way, because of the nature of it, there's a lot of volatility. You know, there can be a lot of volatility and a lot of really sweet love, you know, extreme emotions and things. And so, you know, some people go away not having the experience they were expecting, mainly because of what I mentioned before in the previous video about having all those expectations, you know. If they didn't have the expectations, then they wouldn't be pissed off. So. But anyway, you know, they did, and they go off and then they post comments and things. So, you know, like anything, just take it with a grain of salt. And I mean, ideally, you know, if you can reach out and speak to those people and get a feel for, you know, are they not taking responsibility for their own stuff, or do they have a genuine gripe? Because definitely there is some, you know, centres you need to be very, very wary of. I mean, Iquitos, for example, I mean, I've heard all sorts of numbers bandied around, but you know, anywhere up to sort of 80% of these people there offering ceremonies, they estimate, you know, not say doing it for heart-centered reasons. So, you know, so yeah, it's you know, obviously that's something to be very, very aware of. Yeah, there's a few things there, but I think for me, you know, for me, the way I sort of go out and you know, because this is an important thing. So obviously, you know, this is, you're going to invest a serious amount of your time into something that is very deep, and so we want to be, you know, we want to be sure that we're heading in the right place. And so the way I go about selecting and have selected where I've been in the past is I, you know, do my research that I've suggested, but then in the end, you know, it really comes down to my intuition and how I feel. And that's how I make my decision. Yeah, and if I rely on my head, you know, I can go around in circles, and then if I rely on my head, I have these expectations too. When I get there, if it doesn't mean the expectations don't get met up, then I, you know, miss the purpose of the retreat potentially. So the last retreat I was on, I had my bag packed. Like, I think 3 weeks into the retreat, I was gone. I was leaving, and I sat down and had to talk to myself and realised that I'd set all these expectations, you know, about what I was expecting, and they didn't live up. And so I thought to myself, well, instead of actually packing up and running off, why don't I just change my expectations? And that's what I did. And my whole experience just changed like that. It's magic. But anyway, there's a few pointers there about what to look for when selecting a retreat centre. All right, thank you.